Hello, everybody. Welcome to In the Bullpen, brought to you by Hilltop Office Supplies. Eric Ballnar, Michael Dunn. It is hot outside. It's baseball season. It's summer.
It's great, isn't it? About time the sun came out.
Just makes playing baseball a lot more fun when it's like this.
That's why we play, man.
It's so crappy when it's so cold
Summer
outside.
sport. That's why they play it in the summer and not play it in the winter.
That's why we're here. We got a big show today. We got Chris Adamson joining the show.
Who?
The manager of the Giants, a head coach in the Philly system, going to tell us about America, USA, college, pro ball, the life, the world, the universe that's crazy, humongous, big, all of those things in between.
Yeah, it's a good insight to what goes on over there, first-hand experience, and he'll give us all the ins and outs of why you should do certain things, why you should maybe sign pro, why you should go to college, why you should go through the processes correctly and give yourself a better opportunity later in life.
Well, let's take a look at some of the Hilltop headlines. And normally we heavily focus on the Div 1 state leagues, brought to you by Hilltop Office Supplies. But this week, we got a couple different little things we're going to look at because I think we need a big shout out to a game that Woodville won. We'll start in Division 3. We're going all the way to the land of Div 3. We're going to start the show at the Div 3 moment, and we're going to end the show at the Div 3 moment. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Woodville, they won a game 33-1 over the weekend. That was a crazy scoreline, but in it, David Lodge hit 2 home runs. Now, I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to make a correction. Brendan Tahini hit for the cycle, although apparently it was brought back because it was a double, then a throwing error that stretched it to a triple. I say hard done by the scores.
Never let
just
the
give
truth
him,
get in the way of a good story,
Just
Eric.
give him the triple.
Absolutely.
He hit for the cycle.
We're saying cycle.
33-1. You been on a scoreline like that before?
I have, actually. We played, when I was playing ABL, we played the Hunter Eagles.
And you lost 33-1.
No, we won like 36-2 or something. We all had 8 at-bats.
What?
Like the top of the order, the top 4 hitters in the order went something like 24 for 36 or something.
Some of those high-scoring games just get absolutely ridiculous. I remember that one game. Remember when we were in Geelong, playing Geelong, Korea with the Giants a couple years ago, that game that was like 24-1?
Yeah.
It was like crazy vibe in the dugout. Like every single time I remember, because I was in the dugout for that game, and every single time someone came up to bat, I was like, oh my God, this is just going to, like, something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
There were grand slams.
They're not a lot of fun if you're on the one side.
No, but that's pretty cool. Home run, a cycle. We're going to give him the cycle on the show.
Totally, absolutely. Well done to you.
On the weekend, though, Mitch Neuenborn continued doing his thing. Not in the midweek game. They decided to start him on the Saturday. He went 7 innings, struck out 9, 3 hits, only 1 walk. He's now over 20 innings without allowing a run. I mean, I sound like a broken record talking about Mitch Neuenborn now, but like, how can you not talk about him? He's unbelievable.
Yeah, and the interesting part of that too was against a contender. Well,
Kensington,
right now,
they thumped
contender.
him.
Yeah, and they've he really dealt that day and made him look a little bit silly. So, how good is Mitch Neuenborn? We know he's good. Are Kensington going to start slowly coming back to the pack now? We don't know. Southern Districts keep winning, so they win 20-1 on the weekend as well. So it's an interesting. And now we got a midweek game tonight. Will be interesting. You'll see the results that come out later in the week from that game, and that'll be interesting to see what some of the results are there.
Starting to be a bit of a separation, but contenders starting to play to each other. Shout out to, I heard his old man could play, but Jacob Scott went 3 for 4. He's on a bit of a hit streak right now. He's hitting over 350 for the season. Young Goat, is that what we call him?
Young Goat, yeah. He Andrew Scott was certainly knew what he was doing back in the old day.
But good to see Jacob start to light it up.
Yeah, and it's good, and it's always hard for the son of a gun, as they say. So, and he's holding his own now and starting to, as he gets older and more mature, starting to understand the game a little bit more and know what goes on, and is doing a really good job.
Last week on the show, we talked about midweek pitching strategies. It was interesting to see how some of the teams went about it. You had, for instance, Henley and Grange. They played East Torrens, and then they played Sturt on Tuesday. So versus East Torrens, they decided to say, hey, let's throw Jordy Gross at there. That's our ace. We're going to try to get that win and just get it under the bag against a team that's really good. But Sturt are probably a different kind of level. They've been the defending premier. So they said, let's try to get that win. It worked. Golden Grove, on the other hand, they're going again. They played Sturt on Saturday, and then tonight they have a game that probably they're more of a chance to try to win. And they held off AJ. They said, we're not going to use them, and they ended up losing the game 6-0 to Sturt. But you saw that strategy play out once again. That Golden Grove said, you know what? Take it, we'll try, but we're going to throw our best later on. Yeah,
well, that's the strategy behind that is you're better to go 1-1 than 0-2, trying to get a win against a team that you're probably 70-30 against losing anyway, because it's Sturt and they're a top team. So You come up. I'm not sure who they're playing tonight, but it's probably a lesser side than Sturt.
Yep.
You throw AJ, and it's shorter game too, right? 7 innings. He'll get punch outs. They need to score a few runs. They win.
Well, there's not a lot of teams that are more informed than Sturt. Their first 2 games, they got outscored 16-6, if you remember.
And we let them know too, didn't we?
And we let them know. But then they went on a 6-game win streak where they outscored opponents 60-9 and 37-3 over a 4-game stretch.
And it's interesting. I don't know who they threw on the weekend.
They went
JBR.
Tyndall and JBR midweek. Yeah.
Okay, so JBR goes tonight. So
versus Henley and Grange. Yeah.
So that's an interesting way they've looked at it as well. They're out to win tonight as well. So
every player in Sturt's lineup is hitting over 300. They're hitting over 400 as a team.
Yep.
Like, it's just ridiculous. They're going absolutely crazy in terms of how that team is hitting right now. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're hot, and you know why they're hot. Let's keep them going hot, and tonight will be interesting. Who scores the most runs, and the pitching will all come down to the pitching in the end as well.
Over on the women's side of things, Glenelg, they beat East Torrens 11-7. East Torrens starting to put up a fight versus teams. They're getting a lot better every week. Sturt beat South 6-1. Some notes from the Glenelg game. Every player in the lineup reached. And every player, there was like 6 or 7 players that had different RBI in the game, so complete team batting from Glenelg.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Alice Prokopek got her ERA down to 1.5, so pitcher's doing well. The other pitcher doing quite well, Georgia Davis. Nothing new there. She allowed 1 earned run over 6 innings pitched versus Southern Districts. Now, to put that in perspective, South, the week before, put up 20 runs versus Woodville, and Georgia Davis shut them down.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's just the way the competition is at the moment with the ladies. You have some really, really strong teams and some really, really strong players, and you tell the difference playing against when you've got a Georgia Davis in your side.
Sturt, as you see by the standings, still undefeated, and Georgia Davis leads the competition in 1, 2, 3 innings. So kind of shows that prowess that she's got, and her defense probably too in helping her out.
Yeah, and that's why Sturt are top. Pretty simple,
undefeated.
Right? Yeah,
it works pretty good, but there's only 5 teams in that competition. They're starting to become a little bit of a gap. We'll see what happens as things go on in terms of they tighten it up. 4 teams make the finals, but East Torrens still very much in the mix.
And that's a like a Cinderella story really with East Torrens, right? They go up into Division 1 and they play against Glenelg, who have been in premierships for the last few years, and they put up 7 runs against them. It's a great effort for a club that's just new.
They didn't make the defending champions. They didn't lay down at all for them. They're making it difficult. So I bet you East Torrens are going to start to find a few more wins under their belt. So teams got to be a little careful when they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, we're going to talk to Chris Adamson on the other side of this break, being in the USA. So why don't we bring Tankin when we come back?
Yeah, let's get him on.
We'll see you on the other side.
Hilltop Office Supplies are here to provide you with all your stationery, sanitary products and office equipment. We are a local business servicing local communities with the ability to offer you and your business the best prices. We offer a large range of office supplies from pens, ink cartridges and toner to monitors, keyboards and laptops. If you can't see it on our website or in our catalogue, ask us and we'll source it for you. We have a partnership with Kaishira Document Solutions where you will find many leasing options available for these state-of-the-art units and plenty to choose from whether you have 5 or 5,000 employees. We offer businesses a one-stop shop for all cleaning, kitchen and bathroom needs. Check out our website at www.hilltopofficesupplies.com.au. Register your business to stay on top of the latest sales and receive member specials. We are baseball people here to support the baseball community.
Back inside the bullpen, brought to you by Hilltop Office Supplies, and a very warm welcome. A return to Australia even from New South Wales. You were gone a long freaking time, dude. Welcome back, Chris Adamson.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
What was your story? We'll talk about what you're doing there, but what was your story getting back to Australia? Because that seemed like a bit of an adventure too.
Yeah, it was pretty lengthy. So I was originally meant to come home September 20, I believe. Then I had to stay in the States for an extra month, which was fine. We were still on the field, and that was all good. But then by the time I actually got to Sydney, they were easing some of the restrictions, but I still had to quarantine the hotel. And then when I got out, I would have had to do another 14 days once I got back to SA. And yeah, my partner and son would have had to do it as well. So that wasn't really viable, nor would it have been fair. So I just hung out in Sydney with my parents and
nice.
Yeah, went back to being 16 again, and it was a good time.
Perfect. Mum cook for you?
Yeah, a couple of times. It was good.
Yeah, perfect. So, Tag, you get there, you get to the States, you get over, early March or so. What did you do when you first got there? And walk us through those first couple months before you even got to where you were managing with the Blue Claws.
Yeah, so we got there in spring training, so it was a little bit different this year given all the COVID restrictions and protocols that were in place. But yeah, the Major League side was just wrapping up their spring training and about to head back to Philadelphia, so that cleared out a lot of space, and there was some logistical challenges that they had to do with, different quarantines depending on where you'd come from, and so we were pretty good at that being from Australia. But and then minor league camp started, so we were split up in different locker rooms, and there was all kinds of different groups. But it was once we got going on the field, it was fairly normal. It was a little bit more condensed than it ordinarily would be, but come the back end of April, we headed north and we were ready to roll.
To Jersey Shore, to New Jersey, got to play, manage the Blue Claws. Sick logo, by the way.
Yeah, the Surfer Crabs.
The Surfer Crabs. Is that what you called them?
That's what I called them. Yeah, they were my babies.
The Surfer Crabs. Perfect. So what was your day in the life or a week in the life look like? So let's say it's, Sunday night right now. You just finished a game, whatever it is. What does that week look like? Let's assume it's a home week for you.
Yeah, so Mondays were actually off. It was a little bit different schedule this year. So Mondays were off every week, and then we played Tuesday through Sunday wherever we were going to be. So if we were at home, Monday there was usually a little bit going on with player moves and things like that. So guys going up, down, or whatever the case may be. And COVID obviously made that a little bit more frequent, just with, if someone was a close contact or contracted COVID, then they're obviously on the shelf. And same goes for if they were injured and a variety of other reasons. So a lot of moves would happen on Monday, but then come Tuesday when the game started, we played at 7 o'clock, so we'd usually get to the field about, I'd get there about 11:30, something like that. And so just move around to get my stuff sorted, and then early work started for most of the guys at 1:30. So they would work, they would lift and do some defensive work, they would hit, and then we'd take team BP, any team fundamental, and then there'd be extra hitting before the game. And
so it's like training then a game.
Exactly right. Yeah, so it's the game, but a lot of the stuff beforehand is the most important stuff for those guys, just making sure we get them to where they need to be.
So we have a little bit of inside knowledge with what goes on with you, so because we're all pretty friendly. But so we know the Phillies had a bit of a clean out in the off season, which you've obviously told us about, but they must have had some love for the little Aussie boy, having a re-sign for 2 years, and where does that sort of take you moving on into next year, and how did all that sort of come about? You had an interesting conversation with me about a 40-minute car ride with the new boss. So just talk us through that, and where do you see yourself for the next couple of years?
Yeah, so it was an interesting process, obviously, first time me going through it, and, it starts in the big leagues, and if there was some people that weren't happy with the way things were going there's obviously some collateral that happens with that, and a few of our bosses got let go, so everyone was, fairly uncertain with how things were going. But my last month in the States, we had Instructional League, where it's essentially just an extension of the season. We're playing local teams, or teams where their complex is local anyway. And I was managing that and running that program, it was a great experience. But yeah, as you said, I had a few chats with the new boss, and he was just kind of feeling me out a little bit, and I was, fairly honest, and I think we actually had a really good thing going, to be honest with you, but he was just trying to find as much information as possible. And
he was the son of a gun too, right?
Yeah, Preston Mattingly, so Don Mattingly's his dad, which was cool, but obviously he's a very well-read guy. He was a good player in his own right, but I think he's done a really good job at actually coming out of his dad's shadow. I think that would be a pretty big burden, for him to have. It'd be cool on one side, but a lot of people would probably talk to him about his dad, So, but he was a really great guy, and as I said, just really well researched. Like I genuinely felt when he asked a question, he really wanted your opinion. It wasn't like in certain scenarios where you might be at times a little bit hesitant to speak honestly. It was something that, he seemed like he was genuinely just trying to understand the situation. And I was lucky to get a new contract out of it. So that was exciting.
So how many players would you have managed this year in the Blue Claws?
This year was pretty crazy. I think we had about 80.
80 on one. So obviously not all at one time, but going up and down all that stuff.
Correct. I think our roster limit was 30 players. So there was times that you rolled with less than 30. But just with the moves that had to happen. So, and it's amazing, the jumps. There was guys going from us up to AAA when someone got called to the big leagues, and then having to come, down to fill spots or get innings and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty wild, but it helped me, really accelerate the learning process and learning the guys.
But when you're with the Giants, let's say when you're in the Australian baseball summer, your starting third baseman is Curtis Mead, and he's the starting third baseman unless he kind of plays his way out of the position or someone plays himself into it. You have your starters. That's just kind of what it is. But here it seems like it's a revolving door for different circumstances. So how is the role of managing the Giants different from what you were managing? It seems drastically different than what it was with the Blue Claws.
Yeah, it is a little bit different, definitely. But I guess I was just really conscious of trying to create an environment that people felt comfortable coming into, because I understood that there was going to be a lot of change and it wasn't just going to be here's your team and roll with it. So environment was really important to me, and I've put a focus on it back here, but I think it was even more important. So guys could come in, maybe not being as familiar with me or with the other guys, and just feel as though they could be as comfortable as possible being themselves. So that was a big deal, but yeah, as you said, it's quite a bit different.
So what would you say the biggest thing you learned about yourself over the last 6 months in regards to obviously a completely different role than being in Australia coaching, with some very high profile people? So what have you learned about yourself, and how do you move that into the next phase of what you need to do?
I think, it's kind of twofold. I think, just reiterate the importance of, being effective with your communication and relationship building. And so, we'd do a couple of different exercises along the way that just helped accelerate those relationships with guys getting to know each other deeper than what they are as just baseball players, So I think, the ability to communicate, and for me, that was something that, continuing to try and learn Spanish is another big part, So we had a heavy Latin presence, as is the case a lot in the minor league. So just continuing to practice that so I can try and, convey messages accordingly in a couple of different languages is something that I'm going to continue to work towards.
You got to catch up, though, with some players that had played for the Giants when they were over there. So I know you coach Logan O'Hoppe. So was that interesting, actually going from coaching him with the Giants in almost a different kind of role with O'Hoppe that first part of the season?
Yeah, it was awesome. And that probably helped me. Like, he was a familiar face. Cole Stobie was another one that I had for the majority of the year, and that was just good for they felt comfortable around me. They didn't have to adjust too much, and for me it was a couple of familiar faces as well. So I could bounce some stuff off them. But ultimately they were all resources. But it was great to see what they all did, particularly with Logan and what he did this year. Yeah,
and then same also with guys like Luke Williams, who obviously I know you didn't coach him in the States, but man, that must have been fun personally for you to watch. There was a photo up there earlier of you on the field with Luke at Fenway. That would have been awesome.
Oh, it was just amazing, to see what that guy did, and he's just got so many people rooting for him. Obviously, when you come to Australia, you generally do have a good chunk of the Australian baseball community rooting for you at the back end. But, with him, he's such a great guy, awesome teammate, great human being, in addition to being a good baseball player. So to see people like that succeed, it's really cool to watch.
We're chatting with Tank Adamson, the manager of the Giants and a coach in the Phillies organization. We'll be back with him just after this.
Here at Just a Thing Furniture, we offer quality, factory direct furniture at wholesale prices. From wall clocks, prints and lamps to couches, beds, rugs and outdoor furniture. We make furniture affordable, where you save up to 80% on retail, offering you the finest furniture at discount prices. When you buy from us, you won't wait months for your new furniture. Everything you see is ready for immediate delivery, and mention Super League Baseball and we'll deliver it for free. We pride ourselves on customer service, and our team works tirelessly to offer our customers on-trend furniture at heavily discounted prices. Visit our huge warehouse in Beverley, open 7 days a week, or jump online to check out our latest deals at www.justthethingfurniture.com.
Back inside the bullpen, brought to you by Hilltop Office Supplies. Chris Adamson, Michael Dunn over there. It's the gang.
We've missed you, man.
We've missed you.
Yeah, we have.
Did you have some golfing over there, by the
golfing
way?
friend back.
Yeah, there was a bit of golf.
There was a bit of golf happening too. Yeah,
I reckon
perfect.
there'll be some golf for you back here too, right?
Yeah, I reckon I'll sneak in a couple of rounds a week.
So, I mean, now you've got some experience working in the pro minor league system, and you yourself are quite an accomplished college baseball player. So I feel like you've got an interesting perspective, both on playing college, or now in the minor league system, seeing the elements of it. If you were to kind of evaluate yourself back in the day, would you have advised yourself to go to college, or if you had got a pro contract offer, would you have signed that? How would you evaluate? How do you decide making that decision if you're in that person?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think, you just really need to be pretty realistic with yourself, and I think that's where I had a good support network with my family that helped with that, because there was a little bit of interest at the back end of my high school and when we were back at the Australian Academy, as it was called back then. But ultimately, I just needed to be realistic with myself and where I was, not only physically but also mentally as a person. There was no way that I was ready for professional baseball. Just to be thrown in what is just a it's a dog-eat-dog world. I just wouldn't have been prepared for it. So probably the biggest thing is just really being realistic with yourself about where you think you're at, but then also leaning on some other people that might have some background is a really big thing as well, just to really evaluate realistically and take the emotion out of where you're actually at and what's the best path for you as an individual. Because
guys can get signed to minor league contracts after college.
Absolutely. And I mean, our pitching coach, Josh Spence, is the perfect example of that. And we went to college at the same time, came through the same national programs, went to college at the same time, and he actually got drafted 3 times. And it wasn't until the last time he got drafted that he actually signed, because he evaluated, what the best option for him with the organisation and the depth and all those different factors to then decide what was best for him, and ultimately got him to the big leagues within a year. So.
And that's what it's interesting where you say about evaluation of yourself and where you're at. So, I mean, you've seen it, and I've been over to some spring trainings with you, and you see some of these kids that are 18 that are signing out of some other countries that are just man mountains. And you see some guys from Australia who really are just still young kids. And it is an evaluation of where you think you're at as well. So the pathway down to college from that perspective is highly important. I think it's highly important that you, as you said, go down that path, see where you're at. You can still get signed out of college, but if nothing else, you get an education. You have 4 years you'll never forget of life. And then if you're good enough, you're signed pro anyway.
Absolutely. And I'm a big believer that if you are good enough to get there, you'll find a way to get there. And the beauty, I guess, if you go the college route, you'll get an education. You'll get just a lot of playing time as well, if nothing more. You'll just learn about yourself as a player. I remember I left junior college, and because there wasn't any restrictions on practice time, amount of games, I would have had probably close to 1,000 at-bats, I reckon, by the time I left.
At college?
That was just in junior college in the first 2 years, yeah. Because we had massive rosters, like there was no limits on practice hours, amount of games, nothing like that. So we just played all the time. So you can't help but get better if you do that, right? So with that, but I'm a big believer in the education side of it as well, as opposed to just having to, kind of just fight for your life on the minor league side. And if it doesn't work out, you kind of at square one. But I do believe if you're good enough, you'll find a way to get there.
But on the team that you managed in Jersey Shore, so you had guys like Logan O'Hoppe, who I know he was a couple years pro at that point, but he signed as a high schooler, I know, from the United States. But did you have guys that also were coming out of college that were playing on high A with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that one of the biggest differences with that is the guys coming out of college, particularly if you've been at a fairly decent program, you might skip a couple of levels. Like we had a pitcher that finished with us, Griff McGarry, his name is. He was a 5th-round pick this year out of University of Virginia. And he pitched in the College World Series, and he skipped rookie ball altogether. Had a couple of outings in low A and then moved to high A. Just
Liam Spence too.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's where the curve can be accelerated a little bit just based on where you're at, not only with your baseball experience, but also your age, and you can get at a more age-appropriate level in addition to the skills.
So if you've got an athlete in South Australia or any state in Australia really that is looking to, they're in the air. They go, I don't know whether I want to sign from college or to go to college, or I want to sign pro ball, or where's their best path of people to speak to then go, I don't really know here. Their parents may not be baseball people. We've got no idea what to do. What do you say to those people, and where should they go to get the right advice from people?
Yeah, and you just need to put yourself out there. So if you're not sure, so you'd hope that a lot of them are all going through their HP programs, and there's great people in charge of all of those programs. I was in the chair here prior, so I know all of those guys, and they're all awesome at what they do. So lean on them. But I think the biggest thing is just finding those people, so whether it be the HP guys, any of the national team staff, if you contact them, any of your ABL team staff, they'll be huge. But also be open to realistic feedback, and don't see it as criticism, because ultimately they're giving you information just to help you continue to progress. Decision, yeah. Exactly right. And they might give you something that, it might not seem like what you want to hear at the time, but they're ultimately, all us as coaches are trying to do is set you guys up for success. So I think that's it. So find your networks through the state programs, the ABL teams, the national programs, and then, just be really open-minded with the information that you get given. Yeah.
Tank, on the theme of the ABL, obviously the Giants aren't going to win a Claxton Shield this year with no ABL going on, but I think everybody has that expectation that we can contend for something in the very near future. So how do you use an off year to help further the Giants program in terms of getting us to where we want to be and lifting that shield, I guess, in 2023? Oh, so long away.
Yeah, obviously it was a little bit disappointing, but we all completely understand where things are at, not only in Australia but from a world perspective. But it's going to give some guys opportunities. We'll have some exhibition games. Exactly how many, I'm not quite sure, but it's going to give some guys opportunities at that level to play against still some pretty quality opposition that haven't necessarily had that opportunity previously. So that's going to just continue to build depth and expose some of the the state league guys who are reaching for that opportunity, expose them to that level of competition to where they just continue to grow and develop, and it's a bit of a carrot there for them. So it's going to be fun.
And we have, even though we're not playing, we have signed a couple of guys from other organisations that are coming into the fold. Not this year, but they'll certainly be around next year in Wells and a couple of these guys. So what can you tell us about the? It's obviously we're trying to work on our pitching depth. We're trying to get our Aussie guys right. So what can you tell us about those guys that we've signed, not for this year, but they'll probably be around for next year as well?
Yeah, I mean, Wells is a great example. He was coming off Tommy John, so he essentially hasn't pitched in 2 years, which is unfortunate. This year again, he was injured and not active in the States, so it'll be an opportunity for him to move around. But again, he pitched in the World Baseball Classic, the last one we're at in 2017. So he was a big part of that bullpen. So that adds to that depth. But again, if nothing more, he'll just be around some of these younger guys, and he can show them how to go about it from a professional standpoint, and just give them that really good leg up, and hopefully some information that'll help them.
Well, Tank, we really thank you for stopping by. For being our double guest today. You got Tank 1 and Tank 2 on it today. Thanks for stopping by. We'll let you go, but we're going to see the Giants in action in a couple weeks' time versus the SLBA All-Stars. At least a good first tune-up for the boys, it seems like.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
We'll do something. We'll have some fun out there. So Tank Adamson back in the country. Say good day if you see him around at the ballpark, and we'll see you. We'll announce the All-Star team after the break.
After the break, yeah.
We'll see you then.
Hilltop Office Supplies are here to provide you with all your stationery, sanitary products and office equipment. We are a local business servicing local communities with the ability to offer you and your business the best prices. We offer a large range of office supplies from pens, ink cartridges and toner to monitors, keyboards and laptops. If you can't see it on our website or in our catalogue, ask us and we'll source it for you. We have a partnership with Kaishira Document Solutions where you will find many leasing options available for these state-of-the-art units and plenty to choose from whether you have 5 or 5,000 employees. We offer businesses a one-stop shop for all cleaning, kitchen and bathroom needs. Check out our website at www.hilltopofficesupplies.com.au. Register your business to stay on top of the latest sales and receive member specials. We are baseball people here to support the baseball community.
Back inside the bullpen, brought to you by Hilltop Office Supplies. Make sure you use that BSA code on that spiffy-looking website.
Sign up, get cheaper stuff.
Nothing
we'll look
says
after you.
I love you like a new notepad for your partner at Christmas.
Absolutely, get it done.
Well, you could write I love you in the notepad.
You could even.
You're a romantic, Dunny.
You can buy an LCD screen and have it come up on the LCD screen.
You're a romantic, Dunny. What would you get your romantic partner from Hilltop Office Supplies?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You've caught me unawares there, Eric. There's probably not so much a lot of romantic stuff. No.
But you can get some gifts.
You can get some gifts.
Stationery for the new school year.
Yes, something like that. But it's
just get your orders in.
Yeah, just get them in. Get them in.
Perfect. All right, Dunny, All-Star game happening in just a couple weeks' time. The Giants, that roster will be announced on the Giants website in a couple of days. They're finalizing their lineup. We do know what the All-Star lineup is going to look like for the SLBA All-Stars. A nice little top right here in the front of it. Look at this.
Yeah, so that's the All-Star. That's the playing game top. So we'd like to congratulate Yang on his design of that top. So that's a fantastic new design that the players will wear every year if we can organise to have a Giants versus All-Stars game in a build-up to the ABL season as well. So well done to Yang and all the staff there that put that top together. They've done a fantastic job.
Well, let's count it down. We'll count it down to the big reveal. We won't even do that. We'll just pop it up right now. Look at it pop up on screen. There goes the drama. But a pretty even spread between the Marlins and Seahawks. Verastigi, Gallagher, Badcock, Stead, Campbell, Bishop. There's a lot of names on this list. Anyone stand out to you that you're looking forward to seeing how they go against the Giants?
Well, AJ would be an interesting one to face a really strong hitting and
Jordy Gross too.
Yeah, and Jordy Gross to face some really good ABL hitters. That'll be interesting to see. But if nothing else, you've got a lot of young kids in there that'll get some experience to face some really decent ABL pitching and find out what the difference is just between playing club ball and facing ABL guys. It's a big difference.
And pretty cool to see guys like Ben Short get on that list. You know, he's been grinding away in local club ball for a while, getting his first real all-star game opportunity. But even guys like Jack Partington, who's hitting .450 this year, 10 stolen bags, he can kind of show up, try to show some of these Giants guys. There's a couple exclusions from this list, and I think you'll know who they are if you don't see a couple certain names on there. And I think you might see them somewhere around, or maybe they've been cut. Somewhere. I don't know. We'll find out. Either the cut list, but yeah, that's kind of the way that list is looking like. But it should be a pretty fun game. We're going to play the full 7 innings. There'll be no shortened home run fence, but the Joker card will still be in effect. There's going to be a women's all-star game beforehand. It should be a pretty fun night of baseball.
Yeah, it's a great night. It'll be a sponsors night as well, so there'll be a heap of people around, and that'll be fantastic. We need a night like this to just get the people to come out. It'll be awesome.
That's exactly what we need. So the all-star game, that's the way that thing's looking. I can't wait for it. It should be fun.
Yeah, great.
I'll be on the call. You'll be on the field.
I'll be on the field. But you can come down and say hello to me, but I'll...
You can throw some stuff at them.
Yeah, I will. I actually might be at first instead of third
I reckon Tank's coached a few games at third this year.
Yeah, we're just going to move it around a bit, and I want to help some kids out with some base running things, and that's why we'll move over to first for this week, and then we'll get back to normal if we ever get to Melbourne.
I love it. All right, so that's coming up in a couple weeks' time. Let's give a few shout-outs around the community, shall we? We'll end... Now we'll just start at this point here. Pretty cool moment. West Torrens held a mental first aid course over the weekend, and I thought that was really, really cool. There's a look on your screen of a few different players that took part in it. A few Div 1 guys in there, a few of the Div 2 girls playing there. That's really cool to see. You always think about that first aid around your club in terms of someone gets hurt, those visible cuts, but the mental first aid I thought was a really cool initiative by West Torrens, so shout out to them.
Yeah, and it's becoming a much bigger part of life and things that happen. So it's good for people to understand how to approach and treat people in situations that are not quite as comfortable as they should be. So it's fantastic for West Torrens to come up with that initiative.
Big shout out also at West Torrens to Ken Jameson, played 400 games. He's been a big part of that club for a long time. We'll get the photo up of you next week. Sorry, Ken, but big shout out to you. That was a big one. But Liam Bull, 300 games he's already played.
And he's only like 14.
Yeah, maybe 12.
Yeah.
300 games already.
It's unbelievable, isn't he? He's just...
in homegrown Henley and Grange products.
Yeah, it's great. He's got a great mullet going at the moment too, so maybe we shave it off for cancer or something for 300. Maybe he might
be more. Let's go. Let's get Bully on board with that.
Let's get him interested in that, hey?
Big shout out to Taj Williams as well. He got to 100 games with the Adelaide Angels. Callum McKierney at 50 games. That's pretty cool. So a big shout out to those guys. They're juniors that I'm sure will be raking up to 300 pretty soon. And a big shout out to a club legend over at Goodwood. He plays some in the lower grade, 6, 7, 8. Peter Wright. Everybody loves this guy. As I bumped into him around there. Big shout out to him. Played 200 senior games now at Goodwood. We got to get a guy like that on the show pretty soon.
Yeah, let's get an oldie bit of goodie on the show and have a chat with him about the good old days.
Speaking of an oldie but a goodie.
What do you got for us?
An oldie.
Real old?
Real old. Goodie. Maybe in his day.
Bit of a goofball,
Bit of a goofball. On the weekend, Craig Watts played the big man.
Right.
Played his first game, and this is him. He went whammy in Div 3 in one of the games. You want to get your stopwatch out.
I don't. My phone's not here, but
it's chopping around. He's still going there, but we should have timed this. I think the timer was like 42 seconds to get around the
42 seconds to get around.
Yeah. It took a while.
What was he signing autographs? He was going around.
He might have been.
Maybe he was just saying, "You see that second baseman? You see that kid? I'm Craig Watts."
Well,
don't ever forget that name, Craig Watts.
How do you think you would go?
What, hitting it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not as big as that goofball.
You couldn't do it like Wattsy did?
No, I'd get around the bases faster than him though.
Would you?
Oh,
I'd
definitely.
love to see a base race between you and Watson.
Nah, he's got no chance. He even knows he's got no chance. He'll hit it further than I will, but he will not outrun me.
Nah, that was cool though to see. Only because too, that Watsy, I mean, he's gone through a couple operations lately too. So get back on the field and he's still hitting bombs.
Yeah.
Now he'll be playing Div 1, I'm sure, pretty soon.
He'll be putting his name up for contention anyway.
Coaching.
If we know Craig Watts, he'll certainly be.
No, but yeah, that was a cool moment to see. So congrats to Watsy. Finally, we'll wrap things up in a moment. But we've had this logo pop up for a while. It's just been subtly in there. But the Just the Thing logo is pretty good too.
Yeah.
It is pretty good. But a good one is the new In the Bullpen logo. Dunny, tell us about this logo. You were the one that helped steer this. I like it. It's slick. We need to get some shirts made of this.
Yeah, the shirts are on the way. The hats are on the way as well. So we thought we'd come up with a logo and put some hats and shirts to names and somewhere down the track we might give them away as prizes or something for different things over the journey. But we came up with the the bull with the baseball in the middle, and in the bullpen's obviously the name. So a mate of mine who does all my IT work came out with that for us. So he's done a fantastic job, and we're really proud of what we've done so far this year, and the logo and everything that we've got on the screen at the moment.
And the final a big shout out to the entire baseball SA community. We'll leave it on a really, really positive note. It was the Sammy D Foundation fundraiser round over the last weekend, and it was awesome to see clubs all over the place do some things. Adelaide Angels, for instance, they even had their sponsor match every donation. Playford donated their game fees to the Sammy D Foundation, a great cause that really emphasized mateship and saying no to violence. And the baseball community, if you take those clubs that did do something over the weekend, whether it be the Curry Nights at Henley and Grange, all throughout that big list, just about $4,000 raised over the weekend for Sammy D.
Yeah, that's great, and it's a great shout out to everyone involved in South Australian baseball to make that happen. We applaud you for your help for Sammy D, and they love the help that you've given us.
I know that they're even going out to a couple clubs in the next week to do some of those programs. I know they're going out to Kensington, but even half of that $4,000 gets like a mentor and a program for a kid that might be at risk or in that kind of troubled stage for 6 weeks. Like that, it makes a huge impact. So that's a really well done to you, South Australian baseball. That's really cool.
We salute you.
We do. Let's do that. Salute you, South Australia. Well, that's going to wrap things up for the show today. Big thanks to Chris Adamson for stopping by. It's been pretty cool to see midweek games happen in the South Australian baseball community. Double headers are coming up. That's a whole other dynamic. We'll talk a little bit about that next week, how teams manage 2 games in one day, not just 2 games over 4 days. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then we're almost at the midway point. It's flown by already.
Yeah, we are. And then there's only one more game next week of Super League.
Yeah, and then we're into finals.
Then the grand final after
Crazy.
that. So it's we're nearly at Christmas, everyone. So get ready.
Well, baseball in South Australia, all you good people out there, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.